Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something quite a few of you asked about, creating a staging site on GoDaddy, but specifically for non-WordPress applications.
Yeah, it's a really important topic.
Absolutely. Because while GoDaddy has streamlined things for WordPress, doing this manually for other apps, well, one mistake could mean serious issues for your live site.
Yeah.
Like permanent data loss.
Exactly. That automation just isn't there for other platforms, so it's about the detailed manual steps you need to take, doing it safely without breaking your actual website.
So let's back up a bit. Why even have a staging site? What's the point?
Well, think of it like a sandbox. It's basically a clone, a copy of your live website, but it's totally isolated.
Isolated, okay.
Right, so you can build new stuff, test updates, mess with code, whatever you need to do in a safe space before it ever touches the live site. It's just, fundamental best practice.
And the big hurdle for non-WordPress on GoDaddy is just the lack of that easy button.
Pretty much. There's no one-click create staging option. It forces you into a very manual process. You really need to understand your site's files, your database, how it's all configured.
Even with tools like Plesk, I hear.
Yeah, even Plesk involves manual steps. You're still copying files yourself, and crucially, it doesn't automatically replicate the database setup for staging in the same way.
Okay, so before anyone jumps in, what do they absolutely need to figure out first? The checklist, basically.
Right. First, know your hosting type on GoDaddy. Is it cPanel or is it Plesk? Because how you navigate is different.
Makes sense.
Then, gather everything from your live site, all website files, and super important, your live database details. Name, username, password. Usually that's sitting in your main configuration file, like a config.php or similar.
Got it. Checklist done. Files and database info ready. Let's walk through actually making this clone. Step 1.
First, create a subdomain just for staging, something obvious like staging.yourdomain.com.
How do you do that?
You add a new A record in your GoDaddy DNS settings, point that record to your hosting account's IP address. And just a heads up, DNS changes can take a while, sometimes up to 48 hours to show up everywhere.
Okay, subdomain's propagating. Now we move the actual site content.
Exactly. Copy all the files from your live site's directory over to a new folder you create for staging. Maybe just call it staging. Use GoDaddy's file manager or, an FTP client works too.
Files copied. What about the database?
At the same time, you need to export your live production database. Go into feedhpMyAdmin and export it as a .sql file. That's your snapshot.
So we have the files in the staging folder and the database backup file. Now what?
Okay, this part is critical for keeping things separate. You need to create a brand new database specifically for staging.
Not just reuse the live one?
No, absolutely not. New database, and also create a new MySQL user and password just for the staging database. Total isolation.
Okay, new empty database ready.
Then you take that .sql file you exported earlier and import it into this new staging database. Again, use feedhpMyAdmin for that.
Database populated. How does the staging site know to use this new database?
Good question. You have to tell it. Go into the configuration file for your staging application, that copied config.php or equivalent,
Right.
and you update the database connection details in that file. Change the database name, username, and password to match the new staging ones you just created.
Okay, so the staging code now points to the staging database. What's this tricky part developers often mention? URLs.
Ah, yes. This can be a bit painstaking depending on the application. If your code or even your database has hard-coded URLs pointing to yourdomain.com, you have to find and change them.
Change them to what?
To staging.yourdomain.com. Everywhere. If you miss some, you'll get broken links, or worse, the staging site might try to pull data from the live site or redirect users there. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Definitely sounds like a potential gotcha. Okay, staging site is up, running, using its own database. But it's probably open to the world right now. How do we secure it?
Yeah, you don't want just anyone stumbling onto it. Two main things. First, password protect the staging directory. Use .hstaccess and .htpasswd files.
Standard stuff. Any tips there?
For better security, upload the .htpasswd file outside the main public webroot folder if you can. Makes it harder to access.
Good tip. What else?
You absolutely want to stop search engines from indexing it. Create a robots.txt file in the root of your staging site.
And put what in it?
Just 2 lines. User agent and then disallow. And then disallow at 2.8.10. That tells all bots to stay out, prevents duplicate content penalties on your live site's SEO. You might also add no-index meta tags in your HTML headers as an extra layer.
Okay, staging is built, it's secure, testing happens. Now, the moment of truth. Moving changes back to the live site. This sounds like the riskiest part.
It absolutely is. This is the biggest warning for non-WordPress manual staging. Deploying changes, especially database changes, is manual and potentially destructive if you're not careful.
How so?
If you simply take your staging database and import it over your live database, you overwrite everything in the live database.
Oh.
Yeah. Any new users who registered, any orders placed, any content added on the live site after you last copied it to staging, gone. Permanently. Unless you manually export that new live data first and figure out how to merge it, it requires extreme caution.
That sounds terrifying. So what's the safety net? How do you manage that risk?
Backup, backup, backup. Before you even think about deploying, take a full backup of your live site files and database immediately before you start.
Makes sense.
Schedule the deployment for a low traffic time if possible, and once it's done, monitor the live site very closely. Have that backup ready and know how to restore it quickly if anything goes wrong. A solid rollback plan is non-negotiable.
So assuming we navigate deployment successfully, what about keeping this staging environment useful long term?
Good point. Keep things consistent. Try to match PHP versions, database versions between staging and live as closely as possible.
So tests are relevant.
Exactly. Use version control like Git for your code if you aren't already. Makes tracking changes much easier. Document everything how you set it up, your deployment process, and crucially, periodically refresh your staging site from production. Copy the live files and database back to staging so your tests are running against recent data.
Okay, so it's definitely more work, this manual approach on GoDaddy for non-WordPress.
Yeah.
A lot more places to potentially trip up.
It is more involved. No question. But having that safe place to test, to catch errors before they hit your users, it's incredibly valuable. It's really an investment in your site's stability and your own peace of mind.
Absolutely. So despite the manual effort, it's a necessary complexity for robust development.
Yeah.
It forces you to really understand your site's moving parts.
It does. And that brings us to a final thought for you listening. Knowing these critical risks, especially around synchronizing databases manually and the potential for data loss, what's one new step or strategy you could implement in your own workflow to make absolutely sure you avoid data loss during your next deployment from staging? Something to think about.